holiday season in St. Louis has Blues fans feeling festive. The team has answered with great play on home ice thus far.
Clear to McNaughton. Bobby Orr behind the net to Sanderson. Bobby Orr scores!
The 1970 Stanley Cup Finals were the Blues' third visit to the championship. Yet since then, an impressive list of players has not gotten them back. Though it's early, the 1999 version of the Blues has some fans thinking a return is possible. They have the skills, the physical presence, the toughness, and of course, pure power. Can this be their cup year? From the Kiel Center in downtown St. Louis, ESPN 2's National Hockey Night brings you a rematch of last year's exciting second-round playoff series, the Blues and defending Stanley Cup champion Dallas Stars. Hi again, everyone, and welcome to the Kiel Center. Dave Ryan with you, where the St. Louis Blues have been red hot here on home ice. 10-2-2 over the past 14 home games, and that has helped put them right in the thick of the Central Division race, just 2 points behind the Red Wings to start. Blues, Pierre Turgeon has been sizzling hot. No one can stop this guy right now. The NHL Player of the Week with 5 goals and 10 points in his last 5 games.
You know what, Turgeon, ever since last year's playoff victory against the Phoenix Coyotes, has been a different guy. You talk to his teammates and his coach and say, there's something extra about him this year. He's always had great stats, but Pierre Turgeon is on a mission this year for some strange reason. The St. Louis Blues are a better team as well, too, and we have Pierre. Why?
The big difference from last year, we have, we don't have 1 line or 2 lines. We have 4 lines right now, playing very well. And the goaltending's making some big saves for us. And at the same time, we have Al Prongs back there. Obviously, they're a big part of our team. And I would say that's a big difference from last year.
And from last year's exciting playoff series, plenty of bad blood between these 2 rivals in the Western Conference. When we come back, we'll talk about 2 great defensemen, 2 captains, Darian Hatcher of Dallas and Chris Pronger of the St. Louis Blues. Electric atmosphere tonight for ESPN2 National Hockey Night presentation of Stars and Blues. And it's Eddie the Eagle in net, Brian, for Dallas.
This is going to be a great game, Dave, and the goaltenders will be much in focus here tonight. Stanley Cup champion Eddie Belfour in net for the Dallas Stars. He came in relief last night. And Roman Turek, Stanley Cup champion as well for the same Dallas Stars. Obvious now the #1 player, goaltender that is, for the St. Louis Blues.
First ever career start for Roman Turek against his former team. He came in relief of Jamie McLennan. First meeting of 4 regular season matchups between these 2 sides back on November 9th. 1 here at the Kiel Center. 5-2 by the Blues. Dimitra right at the hop. Off the crossbar. Didn't take long at all for the Blues to charge in the offensive zone, and Dimitra nearly scored.
You got to love a start like that. Talk about being ready to play when the puck is dropped. St. Louis takes it right to Dallas.
Slovak line out there for St. Louis. Hanzu starting in front, and it's intercepted by Juha Lind. Dallas marches out. Blake Sloan rung up hard by Bergevin. We talked about the atmosphere. The Blues and Dallas. Rematch of last year's playoff series that went 6 games in the Western semifinals, but 4 of those games were in overtime, including the clincher. Red Hall scored it on this ice. Now Madonna. First shift for the top line of Dallas with Keane and Hall on the ice. Red Hall starts the night 3 goals shy of 600 for his career. Daryl Sador trying to throw it in, intercepted by Turgeon, who has been red hot. Here's Scott Young. 2 goals last night for Young against Nashville. Heck is in his shot. Rebound. And it's kicked aside. Plenty of action early. 2 great chances for St. Louis. Madonna will send it all the way around the boards. Line change for the Stars.
Lots of action, but it's all St. Louis so far. Dallas not ready to play when the puck is being dropped here. Ken Hitchcock going to be shaking a few heads there, I think.
Turgeon cross ice off the skate of Zubov, looking for Jochen Heck, the rookie winger from Germany. Had a goal in our ESPN2 National Hockey Night game here last week against San Jose. He's open in front. Turgeon tries to shove it to Jochen Heck. Puck loose. Langenbrunner tries to come free. And Jochen Heck sends it around the dasher. Turgeon again, team's leading scorer. Starts the night, 15 goals, 19 helpers. He has been brilliant all year long. That newfound enthusiasm he started in the middle of the Phoenix series. First round of the playoffs last year has kept Turgeon going.
Terrific momentum by the St. Louis Blues early on here, which is what you want to do. These guys are really strong here at home in the Kiel Center, and they're showing Dallas a good reason why in the early stages. Some really good scoring chances, and including one right off the pipe. And a big-time 3-on-2. Joel Quenneville's got to be extremely happy with what he's seeing so far in this early first period.
Both teams played last night. For St. Louis and Joel Quenneville, he was telling us this morning, just a 45-minute flight from Nashville here on their team charter. So they got to bed by 12:30 local time, whereas Dallas played their home game against Florida, didn't arrive here until about 1:30 in bed, nearly 2:30 in the morning Central Time last night.
Joel Quenneville's team's been playing consistently well all year. He said, we don't have quite the same edge we did a couple of weeks ago. But he said, we're not bad. And I'll tell you, they're not bad right now.
May only be December 11th. Feels like it's April with the playoffs here tonight. Quite an atmosphere in St. Louis. Now the captain, Chris Pronger, had a career night last night against the Predators. A goal and 3 assists, 4 points tying his career high, which he set earlier this year against the Red Wings. Eastwood in his own zone. A 2-referee system tonight. Dallas trying to center. Mike Keane playing with Hull and with Mike Madonna.
Where Yuri Lehtinen normally would be, Lehtinen still probably a week or so away from coming back in the lineup. Dallas really needs Lehtinen. Ken Hitchcock talking about him, saying he epitomizes our entire game. That's how much they want him back. But Keane has been a strong player for Dallas this entire season and playing with the big line right now.
Off the skate of Brett Hull, over the boards, out of play. And right away, we've got some ugliness going on here. Kelly Chase head-to-head with Jamie Pusher in front of the Blues bench. Chase just returning to the Blues lineup. Neither player can get that right hammer fist free to try to land one, and the linesman finally will break up the battle between Jamie Pusher and Kelly Chase.
Just a little extra emotion. Perfect. Just what we needed here. You mentioned, Dave, the fact that the fans are really into this game. Both these teams are ready to go. And the fact that the emotions are spilling over already are just terrific. In the early stages of 3-on-2 here, folks. Look right across here. There are no green jerseys at all. A flat-out 3-on-2 for St. Louis. Almost the two-thirds of the ice surface anyway. Very unlike the Dallas Stars. They just don't give out numbered attacks like that. And St. Louis with some pretty good execution, all but putting it in the net. And Eddie Belfour has been so strong all season long with another big save there on that 3-on-2. This is the opening face-off. And St. Louis with the pass from Bergevin right up the gut, and a chance there for Pavel Dimitra, and he rung that one off the far goal post. So Dallas was standing around a little bit in the early stages here. Fortunate that Chris Pronger and his boys didn't stun them for a goal yet.
Chris Pronger told us last week when we were here for the San Jose game how important it is for the Blues to get off to a good start on home ice. And when they have that first goal this year, they are 9-1-1. But especially here at the Kiel Center, they have so much energy, and that's exactly what Kelly Chase was trying to get going with the crowd.
And for Jamie Pusher, not a bad time either to step up and drop the gloves a little bit. His team needs to get pumped up a little. He was willing to take a couple of minutes in the box and trade a couple of punches with Chaser to get his boys going.
Here's John. Centers Jamal Mayers and Terry Yates. There's Dave Ellett from the point, sends it toward the net. Wide right of Eddie Belfour. Crunching hit on the far side. Jamal Mayers, the second-year player out of Toronto. He is a very big physical presence for the St. Louis Blues. Kept in by Hatcher initially, but it is over the line and offside.
Well, it's been a strange start to the season, and now we're well into it for Ken Hitchcock and his boys. He has a lot of respect for the St. Louis Blues team. I know I've had conversations with him last year and this year about the Blues and their talent and their quickness. And, of course, they changed this Dallas team a little bit, too. Some guys that were on the team, Stanley Cup team last year, no longer there. Replaced them with some new faces. They're speedier. They've opened things up a little bit. It really hurt Dallas early on, almost trying to emulate in some ways, it seems, the St. Louis Blues team. That quick transition game, Dallas now is starting to get it back under control. They were a little out of control early in the season, but you're starting to see Dallas Stars hockey on a more regular night-to-night basis now.
He told us before the game the team is finally regaining chemistry. Maybe over the last 3 or 4 games he can actually evaluate the team as he thinks it should be.
Yep.
Big names, Pat Verbeek, Dave Reed, Benoit Hogue, Fred Ludwig, Tony Herkus, all gone from last year's Stars Stanley Cup championship team. The Slovak pack line is out there for St. Louis, centered by Michael Handzus. He is in a 5-game goal-scoring slump right now. Big number 26, a great young player to watch. Zubak tries to hold it in. Here's Dave Ellett. Just coming back into the lineup for St. Louis. He had sat out 6 games as a healthy scratch. Chris McAlpine and Rico Persson are not dressed tonight for St. Louis on the blue line. Here's Mark Bergevin. Paired with Al McInnes and Scott Young. He's been red hot. 2 goals last night in Nashville for Young. Taken away by Blake Sloan. Chance for a 3-on-2. Got Juha with him. Big shot from Sloan. What a stop by Turek. Blake Sloan winding up and cranking out a heater of a slap shot. Belfour plays it along the near corner. Lukowicz brings up Turgeon, and Sloan, the former Michigan star, won a national championship with Red Berenson. 1996 in Ann Arbor. He played defense in college and even in the International League. He was discovered last year. Great skater by the Dallas management. And they said, we've got to make this guy a forward. It's paid off. Here's Nieuwendyk into the offensive zone. Pad stop by Turek. Joe Nieuwendyk a bid for a second goal in 2 games.
Joe Nieuwendyk had a slow start to the season points-wise, but I'll tell you, that snapshot, which we saw so many times in the playoffs, that one was right on target. Good sign for the Dallas Stars and Nieuwendyk.
Conn Smythe Trophy winner a year ago, Brian. Playoff MVP for Nieuwendyk with 6 game winners. And he scores! From the right circle, Joe Nieuwendyk!
Whoa, that takes some air out of the balloon real quickly here in this building. And for Roman Turek and the St. Louis Blues, after a terrific start, now all of a sudden they're down 1-0. And it's Joe Nieuwendyk with those quick hands and quick release that he's so well known for during the playoffs. I mean, he really impressed me with his quick release. He just intercepts the puck, and through a screen, it just seemed to fool Turek, who was still on the process of going down to make the save. We'll get a better idea of what Turek was looking at there. A couple of bodies in front of him. One of his own teammates and one Dallas Star as well. But Joe Nieuwendyk cashes in.
8th of the year for the Dallas Star centerman, Joe Nieuwendyk. Ryan mentioned that very slow start. He only has 1 power play goal and 1 game winner all year long. To this point, that came against the Atlanta Thrashers on November 28th. Big goal for Nieuwendyk in Dallas and a great start for them. There's Mike Keane near side. Dimitra all over him. This could be a different game if Dimitra hadn't rung it off the iron on the first shot of the game, about 5 seconds in.
Emotionally and noise-wise and everything else, momentum-wise, St. Louis coming out with all that momentum. Yeah, you're right, David. That one had gone in off the pipe. It would have been a completely different feel.
Terrier, cross ice, loose puck. Belfour had a problem with the handle as Yake tried to throw it right on. Here's Javal Mayers. Pavel Dimitra out there with this line now, and Terry Yake, one of the wingers. Here's Chris Pronger, a mishandle, that's rare. Mike Modano was staring right at him. Modano scored his 10th of the year in last night's win over Florida. Dangerous game for Dallas, had a 3-0 lead. Panthers came back to tie it. Scored 3 in the second. Now Hatch, offensive zone for Dallas. They'll throw it on, goes through the crease harmlessly. Picked up there by Grant Marshall. Here's Roman Lyashenko, just a rookie. Marshall regains, looking to center there for Brian Skrudlin. Lyashenko, a player to watch, number 36, just 20 years old from Russia. Very good two-way player. Ken Hitchcock likens to Yeri Lehtinen. Good defensive forward and really good head on his shoulder. Sees the ice very well for someone so young.
Well, Dallas has got their game going now. They've taken the wind out of St. Louis's sails. They're back into that control-style game. How they handle the puck at both blue lines, and that turnover that Nieuwendyk was able to steal just inside the St. Louis blue line was typical of Dallas Stars hockey as well.
Here Turgeon, 15 goals, 19 helpers to start this game tonight. He is the #1 scorer for St. Louis. Sloan has some room to maneuver. Ellett brings him up. What a hit by Dave Ellett on Blake Sloan. Now regained by the Stars. Carbonneau throwing it right on. Guy Carbonneau, 39 years young, an elder statesman of the NHL. Lind is rung up, hard hit by Bartechko inside the left circle. Matt Tkachuk paired with Darian Hatcher. Matt Tkachuk had some knee troubles to begin this year. One of many players lost to Dallas, and that is the reason they have struggled at the start of the season. They've won 6 of their past 7 games. Now starting to catch fire and make a climb up the Western Conference playoff race. Bartechko centering there, nobody home. Tried to hit Dimitra. He's now set up in front. Hanzus. Bartechko also a 5-game goalless slump. He's been brilliant this year, though, as well. This whole Slovak line has played extremely well for Joe Quenneville's team.
This second line has been tremendous for St. Louis. You have to have two lines that can score on a regular basis in the National Hockey League these days. St. Louis has got to.
Nieuwendyk tripped up in his own zone. Goes cross ice. Langenbrunner on the move. Zubov trying to center there. And hit Brendan Morrow, the rookie. This call up recently from Michigan in the International League. Was a star in the Western League with Portland. Great goal scorer. Two-way forward. Excellent young player. Brendan Morrow on the watch for Dallas. Thanks to Joe Nieuwendyk. The Dallas Stars have a 1-0 lead. His 8th of the year. The snapshot that Brian Engblom talked about is so dangerous.
What you doing, Frank?
Waiting for him to talk.
It's just a game. Frank.
Some nights I'm in here, and I swear, I can hear him talking.
We all have our demons, Frank.
Shh, quiet, you're gonna get us caught.
Charlie?
Yeah?
You hear something?
No.
Now?
No.
Over his last 6 games, 2 goals and 3 helpers. 5 points for Joe Nieuwendyk. His 8th of the year has given Dallas a 1-0 lead. Enemy ice here in St. Louis. Pronger leaving there for Todd Reardon. Long-time journeyman who's been everywhere, including the Eastern League, the International League, the American League with Hamilton last year in Edmonton system. Picked up off the waiver wire this year by the Blues, and he's played very well. Now Modano offensive zone operates, throwing it right on Turek. Will knock it down with a blocker and cover up.
Yeah, and speaking of Todd Reardon, you can see the Dallas attacking on Reardon's side. If you have the choice between Pronger and Reardon, the smart thing to do is to attack on Reardon's side because he has much less experience. Well, Joe Nieuwendyk, with that first goal, is going to increase his stats naturally. And here's a look at the stats of the top 3 guys, Modano, Hull, and Nieuwendyk, from last year to this year, and how their numbers are down. Talked to Brett Hull a little bit before the game. He's shaking his head, saying we couldn't score for anything in the first couple of weeks. Said it's coming around a little bit, but just a big chemistry thing. You mentioned it earlier, Dave, when we talked to Ken Hitchcock this morning. It's been pretty well documented already that chemistry has been a problem. They've used a lot of young kids, and they're still sort of reworking the system.
One problem was with Ken Hitchcock, they had a huge call-up from Michigan in the International League, a wave of 4 players, all of whom didn't work out. Guys like Pavel Matera and Aaron Gavey, Warren Luning. Combine that with injuries, they had to basically make a second call-up of players from the International League, and those 2 things have really hurt Dallas.
And the man games lost. They're up this season in a big way for Dallas. That's just added to things. So they were going to make some changes. It was going to be maybe 4 or 5 new guys. Now you had some cases where you're making 10 or 11 changes due to injuries. That's pretty tough even for the defending Stanley Cup champions to deal with.
Guys like Brendan Morrow have come up along with John Sim. He is back down in the International League now with Michigan, but he's played very well. Had 2 goals in the prior matchup with the Blues back in November. A lot of different faces, and Ken Hitchcock said, hey, we're going to have to make changes. There's no way we can continue to win with the older players we had in Dallas during the Cup run. We basically squeezed every single drop. Ability to win out of that team last year.
I agree with that, and they played a style that's really tough. All that experience, riding the fence between winning and losing every single night of the season and the playoffs. You win or lose by 1 goal, that's really tough on you, and they did it. They did it successfully, but to try and repeat that again, boy, I don't know if it could be done again.
Here's Al McInnes at center ice. 4 goals for him. The team has been red hot since he came back from that absence due to the broken ankle. 9-3-1 since he's returned to the St. Louis lineup with that gun of a slap shot. Scriven will try one as well. And from behind, Chase may have gotten a piece of him and said something as well as it's deflected over the boards out of play.
Perception in National Hockey League, whether it's of yourself or of people watching your team, is everything. For Joel Quenneville's team, things are going great. 18th win already, that tied for the lead in the National Hockey League. Last year, they didn't get their 18th win until January the 28th. So that gives them 38 points. When you look at Dallas on the other side and everything they've been through and the things we've talked about already in this game, Dallas is only 4 points behind St. Louis, but they're perceived as playing poorly up till now.
Scriven takes a draw with Craig Conroy. Out there with Kelly Chase and Terry Yates. So Joe Quenneville is swapping up his lines a bit here in the early going of the first period. Time out of the ice, 9:54 to go in the first. Jerry Yake and the Blues down to Dallas by 1. One nothing game, 9:54 to go here in our first period from St. Louis. So glad you could join us. Dave Ryan, Brian Engblom, the entire ESPN2 National Hockey Night crew. Langenbrunner in the near circle. Rebound. They score. Brendan Morrow. The rookie has got his third of his career and his new season. 2-0 Dallas.
Just good quick hands by young Brendan Morrow in front of Roman Turek. Turek came well out of the net to challenge the initial shot from off to the side, but he kicked the rebound right out towards Morrow. And Morrow was being watched initially by Al McInnes, but McInnes leaves him at exactly the wrong time. The shot's taken from the side. It's from Langenbrunner. He just gets it on net from a bad angle. Look at McInnes. Turns around. Some nights it just goes like that. You're with your guy. You leave him for a second. That's when he gets the puck. Brendan Morrow gets his third goal.
He has been a great addition to the second line with Langenbrunner and Nieuwendyk.
They're
4 years in the Western League, got 127 goals.
Yeah, they're really loving the way this kid is playing. He's been a great fit for Nieuwendyk and Langenbrunner. He's a real physical guy, too. He had like 245 minutes in penalties in junior last year, so he can play the physical game as well.
He in the intercept, cross-ice play. Good passing from Dallas. They look very crisp tonight. Trying to go Madonna near side. The intercept instead from St. Louis and Heck. They'll wrap it around the dasher. Turgeon holds in. Hall try to dig it out. Pronger looks to poke it free and keeping the offensive end. Chris Pronger at the point, winds up. The shot knocked down by Mike King. Great defensive forward. The intercept comes to Hall. Hung up there by Scott Young. Matt Tkachuk sends it in wide to the left of Roman Turek. Victimized twice here early by Dallas.
And this is starting to be reminiscent of the first time these two teams played this season. Dallas came out. Jamie McLennan was in goal the first time around. Didn't have his best outing of the season. Let in a couple early. Took all the steam out of St. Louis, and Dallas just shut him down from there on in.
Roman Turek had to relieve McLennan that night. Finish things up. And a high stick is the call. We have got an update about that Boston-Detroit game with our John Butchergross.
Thanks, Dave. 3-3 in Boston. But watch Steve Duchesne pinch in and give the Red Wings a 4-3 lead, beating Byron Dafoe. Then Steve Yzerman scores, and the Leafs have a 2-goal lead, but the Bruins do have a 2-man advantage now with 1:01 to go.
All right, John, thanks. Steve Yzerman continues to climb up. He went over 600 this year. The Dodge Intermission Report is coming your way here on ESPN2. Flyers and Leafs, big feud going on there. Red Wings Bees, as John just told us about. All after our first period. Dodge Intermission Report. 2-0 game. Hanzus tossed out of the face-off dot. Shot so far dominant by Dallas. St. Louis that came out with a great start, but since then nothing doing. Hanzus trying to change that. Langenbrunner comes free. Here's Dimitrov. Had room to maneuver inside the left circle. He's there for Hanzus. Behind the cage, Bartechko. Back for Michael Hanzus. The Slovakian centerman with Morrow all over him. This is what they really like, Brian, about Brendan Morrow. Good defensive player in his own zone. 6'1", about 195 pounds.
Battling very well along the boards. I mean, that's what the game is all about in National Hockey League on a night-to-night basis, and he did an excellent job there. St. Louis needs their big lines, one of their top two lines, to come up with some big plays here.
Lukowicz lost the handle. Lubov try to come free with it. Bartechko for Hanzus. Here's Dimitrov. Pavel Dimitrov trying to create 13 goals, 30 points this year for him. Pavel Dimitrov, wizard with a puck. Finally, it's poked free out to center ice. He Carbonneau, 39-year-old legs just keep on turning, Brian. He is something. And play whistled down, a two-line pass. 7:40 to go here in our first period. Tune in Wednesday night here on ESPN2, a National Hockey Night doubleheader. First at 7 o'clock, Luke Robitaille, the LA Kings. He's trying to get back from injury. Travel to Big Apple to take on the New York Rangers. Then at 10 Eastern, Paul Kariya and the Mighty Ducks battle Peter Forsberg, who's been knocked around a bit on the injured list, and the Colorado Avalanche. Kings Rangers at 7, Ducks Avs at 10 Wednesday night here on ESPN2.
Pavel Demitra burst onto the scene here in St. Louis a couple of seasons ago and has never looked back. And this is one of the things he does so well. In traffic, people all around, picking his way through, protecting the puck. And although that one was eventually knocked away from him, it took some doing before they got it away from the guy. When he gets it, he doesn't give it up easy.
Dave Ellett in his own end for Turgeon. Dallas just dressing, and on their roster now, 6 defensemen. At your pair with Sador here. Brad Lukowich and Jamie Pusher getting a chance here from Coach Ken Hitchcock, but not being paired together. We'll talk more about that as the game goes on. Lyashenko trying to create Ellicott in his way. Roman Lyashenko, just 20 years old, out there with Marshall and Squidward. A couple of veterans, and the rookie who now plays wing on this line. Heck the other way. Jochen Heck, big shot, knocked down by Belfour, and he will cover up with 6:56 to go in the first.
Well, Dallas got off to a slow start this year, especially scoring goals. Eddie Belfour had almost no offensive support in the early stages, but Dallas is starting to come around. First 13 games, 1.85 goals a game. You're just not going to win very many games like that. But now up over 2.5 goals a game, and their flow and the feel of their team, you can see already in this first period, starting to come back around, witnessed by the couple of goals they scored so far. Nieuwendyk with the quick hands and the good rebound goal. Those rebound goals in particular that Morrow scored here tonight for the second goal of the game, that's the type of goals that Dallas was missing early on.
And Brian, in their cup run last year, Dallas 2.92 goals a game in support of Eddie Belfour. This year, their total average 2.20. But as we saw with that stat a moment ago, it is on the rise. Eastwood in the neutral zone. Mike Eastwood has got 9 goals this year. He's been very effective. Pellerin lost the handle. Scott Pellerin just 1 tally this year at a career high 20 a year ago. That came way back in October. It's Toronto. Trying to change that now. Pellerin offensive zone. Didn't get much muster on the shot, and Belfour has got the easy save. We go back to Boston. Another update from John Butchergrass.
Dave, I mentioned the 2-man advantage. Watch the Bruins. Anson Carter on the doorstep. This puck hits his skate, but he did not turn his skate, so it pounced. Bruins down 1, but time ran out, and the Wings are winners, 5-4.
All right, John, thanks. 4 points now separate the Detroit Red Wings in the Central Division from the St. Louis Blues, and 20-goal years. Not bad for Pierre Turgeon. He's certainly on pace for another.
Oh, he sure is. I expect all those guys are going to have another 20-goal season easily if they stay healthy.
No goals tonight in that victory for Brendan Shanahan and the Detroit Red Wings in Boston. Here's Brendan Morrow, outstanding rookie for Dallas. But Ken Hitchcock, we had a game here on ESPN2 a month and a half ago in Washington, and he said, we've got a player in Michigan you're not going to believe. This Morrow kid is going to turn some heads, and when he comes up, he's really going to make an impact. You have that one nailed. Here's Morrow at center ice. Crossing the red line, leaves there Langenbrunner. The play is whistled down offside. With 5:50 to go in the opening frame, Langenbrunner, the hero, the Stanley Cup charge for Dallas last year, have a lead. Five minutes, 50 seconds to go in our first period from St. Louis. Big crowd energized by a playoff-type atmosphere to begin this game. A bit disappointed now. Team trails by 2 thanks to even strength goals. Brendan Morrow, the rookie, his 3rd of the year. And the 8th from Joe Nieuwendyk, unassisted in the first frame. There's Turgeon. Nifty move to get around the check of Lynn. Quick shot. Oh, the snapshot from Turgeon right on net. And Belfour up to the task.
Well, we spoke earlier of the wrist shot of Nieuwendyk. We just saw a good one from Turgeon.
Well, Brian, ESPN's coverage of National Hockey Night continues. As we see Eddie Belfour. That's coming up Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Eric Lindros, red hot, up to 15 goals now for the Big E train. Philadelphia Flyers have been playing very well against the Buffalo Sabres. Full national telecast, no blackouts in either market. 8 o'clock Eastern Time over on ESPN. For more, log on to ESPN.com, a part of the Go Network, go.com.
And we wish Roger Nielsen well, too. What a shocker the other day. The coach of the Philadelphia Flyers announcing that he's been diagnosed with cancer. But what a great optimistic outlook Roger always has. Tremendous guy. He'll battle through this.
to doing a game very early in the year, and he was not feeling well even then. This is October.
Yeah, for weeks.
The ESPN2 telecast we had, and they couldn't figure it out. They thought it was some sort of virus, maybe a nasal infection. Unfortunately, the worst possible news, but he's going to go after it with all his determination he normally would. Wish him the best of luck and a full recovery quickly for Roger Nielsen.
You bet. He's not going to miss any games.
Amazing.
Nothing makes Roger miss games.
Bartechko lost the handle, rung up there by Squidlin, and the play is whistled down offside.
And St. Louis is upset because it was such a late call. If this was an offside call, they were already 15 or 20 feet inside the blue line before it seems they changed their mind, the linesman that is, and made it the offside call because St. Louis had a decent scoring chance here with an outnumbered situation and one or two players in good scoring situation if they can get the puck to him. They force St. Louis to the outside. That's what Dallas does very well. And then, boy, real close call at the blue line, and that's at the point right there where the call was finally made for the offside.
Brian Squidlin takes the draw up outside the blue line for Ken Hitchcock's team, head-to-head with Mike Eastwood. Talked with Eastwood today. He's got all those goals on just a few shots this year. He's second in the NHL behind Andrew Burnett of Atlanta in shooting percentage. Barely makes the minimum. He said, "Gee, I wish that shot stat meant something, like maybe a bonus or something I could get out of it." But he was joking around. Hey, whatever you can do to get goals. Here's Yake, offensive zone, pulls the trigger, and deflected just wide by Belfour. Just got enough of it to send it wide to his right. Squidlin, good stop-and-go move around Ellett, and Yake will pick up the loose team far corner. Physical game, Dallas. Really aggressive on the forecheck. That's what Joe Quenneville told us this morning. It's so impressive about this Stars team. Never stop coming at you. Zubov shot deflected wide by Madonna.
And they have more speed to come at you with this year than they had last year.
Sidor around the dasher. Yake tried to shovel it out, lobbed it high into the air. Knocked down by Lyashenko, the rookie. And here's Dave Ellett. Under 4 minutes to go in our opening period, and that is an offside play. Stars were in the offensive zone with 3:55 to go in the opening frame.
Well, Eddie Belfour has been tested a couple of times in this game so far, and so far he's perfect. He's even used the goal posts once or twice to his advantage. Terry Yake is feeding it through, and a nice job on the typical butterfly by Eddie Belfour. Eddie, no Stanley Cup hangover for him. The guy you might think would have it more than anybody else. 46 shutouts in the 90s, most in the National Hockey League. Back in the 80s, Mike Liut had 22. That's pretty amazing difference.
Belfour tied with Patrick Roy of Colorado for the active lead with 46 blankings. One shutout this year for him came October 2nd, second game of the year against the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, a 2-0 Dallas win. Matt Tkachuk whips it ahead, trying to hit Keane on the move, intercepted by Pronger. Here's Young across the line. Shot is wide. There's on the follow-up. Reardon trying to hold it in. Down low. Jochen Heck working hard in the offensive zone. St. Louis tries to cycle. Turgeon, who's been so fierce on the puck. That's what made him so effective this year. Heck, wide open in front. He either missed the net or was deflected by Belfour. He had so much time he couldn't believe it.
Good work down low by St. Louis. St. Louis, the last 2 or 3 shifts, is starting to recreate the momentum they had in the first couple of shifts, and they've come dangerously close. Like that last time.
Belfour, Brian, way out of his net. Puck came harmlessly in front, though. No Blues to help take advantage of it. Now the point, Mark Fraser, coming right on. Rebound loose, and Pavel Lemaitre. His 14th of the year. This crowd is back in it.
The Dallas Stars got running around this entire shift, and they never recovered. They always play a sort of a 5-man Wolfpack defense. They swarm everywhere, but sometimes that gets them in trouble. Here they're just trying to recover back to the front of the net, but with 3 white jerseys and only 2 trying to help out Eddie Belfour, Pavel Lemaitre gets an easy one from the edge of the crease to get St. Louis back in it.
14th of the year at 17-19 of the period, and Pierre Turgeon, another assist, gave him 11 points now. In the 5 games, he has come back since the back spasm injury. This is 6 game back. He has been incredible. A goal and an assist last night in Nashville. NHL Player of the Week. Hat-trick his first game back. Continues the roll. Now Neuendijk has got one of the two Dallas tallies knocked down by McGinnis. Regained by Bergevin. Center ice, Hanzus. On the move, try to hit Bartechko. You've got to wait for him to clear. McGinnis winds up that big slap shot. Blocker stop Belfour. Over 100 miles an hour of heat coming right at Eddie the Eagle. But he calmly knocked it down without traffic in front.
And Al McGinnis, who has knocked 2 goaltenders out of the lineup already this season. I wonder if that's in the back of Eddie's mind every time he sees that big stick come up.
And the blocker hand is not necessarily safe. Just ask Chris Osgood with a hairline fracture in his blocker glove hand. Glove hand injury from T-Bone. Broke his ring finger. He KO'd 2 goalies, did Al McGinnis, in a 3-game stretch. Bill Quimble was saying today, I wonder if that's ever happened. Eastwood battling in his own blue line for Al McGinnis. During his injury with a fractured ankle, the team had a skills competition, and Todd Reardon actually won the hardest slap shot at over 97 miles an hour, barely edging out Chris Pronger. But Al McGinnis was not here at the Kiel Center for that competition. You know he can crank it into the triple digits. Young at center ice. Turgeon. Another assist for him a moment ago. Turgeon quickly offensive zone. Knocked down. Good play. Matt Tkachuk. Young picks up the loose change. Jochen Heck hustle in the offensive zone. The rookie out of Mannheim, Germany. Jochen Heck. Turgeon hit hard by Hatcher. Still stays on his skates. Boys, he's strong. 20th assist of the year for Pierre Turgeon. Case for another great offensive season. Lyashenko knocked down, and the play is whistled down offside. 36.8 seconds remaining here in the first period.
Well, Pierre Turgeon's been an integral part of this team all season long. He has an assist on the only goal so far, and it's his work down low that makes all the difference. This is what was going on right before the goal was scored. You see how they doubled up on him down below, and it gave Hecht a terrific chance to score a goal, and then right back after that they scored the goal. This is Hecht doing some great work down low. He's a young kid, but he really knows how to protect the puck well, and that's a big part of playing in the offensive zone in the National Hockey League.
And talked with him before the game today. He said, really have learned a tremendous amount from Pierre Turgeon and just how to protect the puck and battle in the offensive zone. That's something Turgeon has really developed this year, especially. Hall knocked down in the circle, no call from either of our 2 referees tonight. Now Dimitra glides across the line into the offensive zone, left there for Pronger. Picked off first though, and McDonald sprung an easy goal from the edge of the crease. Numbers after 20 minutes here in St. Louis. Shots, certainly a great start for Dallas with the Blues with a big rush at the end, able to tie him in that category.
Well, momentum had a lot to do with that first period. St. Louis, give them a lot of credit. They did come back in the later stages of that first period and regain some of the momentum they had lost by getting down by 2 goals in that middle section. So right now, coming out with a good start here in the second will be key. But, hey, Dallas is a strong road team. They know what they're doing.
In fact, Brian, their road play has been outstanding. So far on the year, 8-5-2 and a 4-game win streak away from Reunion Arena. It all started November 28th. With a win over Atlanta 4-2. They beat the Isles, Montreal, and Ottawa on a 4-game road trip where they really turned things around. And the numbers have been excellent as well on the road. Look at the defense.
Yeah, that's typical Dallas Stars hockey for sure. They've really gotten back into shutting things off. We certainly saw signs of that in the first period as well. Through the middle section, they just gave St. Louis nothing after their strong start.
Madonna on the forecheck. Offensive zone trying to create. Pronger draped all over him. Mike Modano, 10 goals, 20 points coming into this game tonight. And Turgeon from the red-hot blue helps set up the goal from Dimitra to make it a 2-1 game. Scott Young, offensive zone, throws it right on net. Belfour will take no chance in his defensive end.
Well, Brett Hull back in St. Louis, of course, and on the verge of 600 goals. He needs a hat trick tonight in order to do it here, where he spent most of his time, most of his career. When he does it, which will be very soon, he will become the player to do it 3rd fastest. Gretzky 718, Mario 719, and Brett Hull right now 892 games. He will slip up in front of Phil Esposito, and then of course he'll go after Dad's numbers, Bobby Hull, who finished his National Hockey League career with 610 goals. Only a matter of time.
The Golden Brett trying to become the 12th player to register 600 goals and join Steve Yzerman. This year went over 600. Yzerman had a 606th in that win tonight at Boston for the Wings. Jamal Mayer's offensive end. Eastwood falls up near corner. Jamie Pusher trying to bring it out of his own zone. Terry Yake near side. Pusher hit hard from behind. Good physical play. Mayers, Eastwood working with Yake on this forward line. Good defensive role. They can also create some chances. Hatcher rings up Mayers. It's pretty physical indeed along the end boards. Jamal Mayers comes free along the dasher, trying to center, deflected high up into the air, and regained by Morrow. Langenbrunner, Neuendijk, and Morrow. Offensive zone. Morrow's quick shot, and a blocker stop by Roman Turek. Neuendijk tries the center. Knocked down by Brendan Morrow. Hit hard from behind. No penalty call by either of our two referees. Still no power plays in this game for either team. Mayers out to the point. Lukowicz puts it right on net. Sticked aside, though, by Turek, and it's deflected down ice.
Both these teams have really settled in now. It's still a one-goal hockey game in favor of the Stars, but both of them, I think, have their A game back going again after both teams suffering from being with it and being without it in the first at certain times.
Here's Sergei Zubov. Goal and a helper last night in the win over Florida at Reunion Arena. Lukowicz offensive zone. He missed it right on that, and Turek will glove it down and force a face-off in his own end.
Well, Big Darian Hatcher's getting an awful lot of ice time this year. He always does, but I mean, it's really up this year because they've had so many injuries back on defense and they don't have as much depth as they used to. He puts on tough, blue-collar, workman-like time, too. It's always a battle when you're up against Darian. It's like if you play against Darian Hatcher on a regular basis all the time, the whole night, you feel like one of those plums at the market. People handling you and dropping you on the floor and stuff, and you're just all bruised up by the end of the night. And we got a couple of the guys with the most ice time on defense in the National Hockey League. Hatcher leading the way with 30 minutes and 17 seconds. And for Darian, he's having to switch sides this year more than he ever has in the last many years. I talked to him before the game today. He's playing left and right side.
Puck loose, Marshall a follow-up. Marshall's missed almost the entire season with 2 groin tears this year. Came back last week in front. Squirtland one crack at it. Puck loose. Marshall couldn't pull a trigger. Good play by Ella in his own zone. Had Grant Marshall stick tied up, and he could not get the wood of the puck. 2-point Sador. Goes it wide to the right of Turek. Squirtland being held down low. He wants a penalty call against Conroy. Yake at center ice. Broken up first by Lyashchenko, and Sador scoops up the loose chain. Sador at center ice for Marshall. He'll send it in. Daryl Sador saying before the game tonight, the team has got to really make better decisions in its own zone defensively, and so far they've lived up to that. Better communication and trying to settle things down when teams like St. Louis make a charge at you. Now offensive zone. In front, wide open man! Couple of cracks at it! And finally covered up. Oh, Kelly Chase on the doorstep. Had 2 great opportunities against Belfour. And a whistle stops play. Lukowicz, some contact with Chase.
Well, Dallas has had some lapses in their defensive coverage a couple of times in this game, giving out outnumbered attacks. But this one, Kelly Chase all alone, right on the doorstep. And he gets a couple of good whacks at it. Eddie Belfour makes it look easy, takes away everything low immediately, then stays with it. Good concentration. Would that one have gone in? Yes, it would, if he had not gloved that one out of the air. Kelly Chase has been in the middle of things, too. He had a scrap in the first period, almost got into another one with Brian Sprudlin in the second period, later on in the first period, and now a good scoring chance. And good recovery there by Lukowicz the last second, too. I think it was maybe Lukowicz's stick that got a piece of Kelly Chase's attempted shot there that forced it up into the air as well. But Eddie Belfour picking up right where he left off in the playoffs last year, seemingly completely in control almost all the time.
The enforcer Chase, Brian, in a bid for his first point of the year. This is 11th game. He missed 13 with a knee injury. Just coming back last night in Nashville. Boy, what a great chance that was a moment ago. Face off deep in the Dallas zone again.
Well, Chris Pronger just trying to get the puck to the net. He's a little frustrated with himself that he got the puck up too high, and Eddie Belfour was able to hang on to it. But the Blues are pumped up. They're keeping their emotion level high. And after struggling at times in the first, they've just gotten back to taking simple shots at the net. if you know your teammates are going to consistently shoot the puck to the net, then guys on the offside will just go looking for rebounds and loose change. Pavel Demitra is good at that. He also knows how to hang on to it and let his teammates get open as well. That's how St. Louis gets you. They vary the attack on a regular basis.
And they've got the lead in the face-off category as well. Trying to win another was Hanzus head-to-head with Guy Carbonneau, the all-time great face-off men in the game's history. Lind at his own blue line. Juha Lind spent last year overseas after playing 2 years ago in Dallas. At the point. Carbonneau around the board. Oh, great goal on a feed from Lind earlier last week against Carolina. 2-1 win. Last 90 seconds of the third period. Lind on his back made a tremendous feed to Carbonneau, who finished for a goal. Be sure to join ESPN Classic.
Last couple of years is stretch the opposition team's defense out. On St. Louis breakouts, they send guys out of the zone. They use that speed and quickness. Dallas wasn't known to do that, but they are trying to bring that into their game a little bit more this year because they do have some new young faces and some fresh legs that are much quicker and faster. We've seen it a few times here tonight.
Face-off won by Dallas. Nieuwendyk, the second leading face-off man in terms of wins and his draws in the NHL this year. Last year he led the league, 63.2% winning efficiency for Joe Nieuwendyk. Matt Tkachuk, one of several players who's missed significant time this year for Dallas, but they are getting healthier. And once Gary Lettinen comes back into the lineup, watch out. This team may really explode. He is probably their best player in terms of two-way forwards. Won the Selke Award back-to-back years as the best defensive forward in the game.
Lettinen epitomizes Dallas' style, and he is just so sorely missed by this team. Hitchcock wants him back in a real hurry.
Turgeon unable to control and offside the call.
There's Marc Bergevin back playing this year and healthy. Last year he missed an awful lot of games. He only played about 56 games last year. He ended up having abdominal surgery. What a comic this guy is. I was talking to Al McInnes a little bit about him this morning. He said it's so good to have him back. Everybody should have Marc Bergevin on their team for a year. Last year they're playing against Phoenix, going to Game 7. They see Marc Bergevin standing on the side of the road in Hawaiian shirt, Hawaiian shorts, and an afro wig with a big sign saying, "Go Blues, go." See you in Dallas.
He is a classic. That's center ice Nieuwendyk. Throws into the offensive zone. Reardon retreating on back check. Leaves there for Hanzus. Here's Demitra. Pronger joins the rush as well. Had a goal last night in the win against Nashville. Power play tally when he jumped up in front of the goaltender Mike Dunham. Boy, is that a tough screen to look through. Chris Pronger at 6'5", 220. Demitra battles. He's got the lone goal for St. Louis in this game. Bartechko and Hanzus, they cycle. Offensive zone, Michael Hanzus. 10 goals, 19 points. Had just 4 goals all of his rookie year last season.
And look at this cycle they got going. This is about the 5th or 6th one now. We're not even halfway through this game right now. This second line for St. Louis has done it the best.
Bartechko around the dasher. Hanzus try to leave there for Demitra. Has Reardon set up in front. Plenty of time. Demitra looking to chip it through Sador, who knocked it down. Went for the off-speed play. Bartechko, Demitra still control the puck in the offensive end. What a great job in their zone. Now Demitra winds up his big shot, knocked down. Never got there. Sador got a piece of it first. Demitra tried to control, and finally it skips through the neutral zone for Reardon. Give away Morrow. Brendan Morrow knocked down. No penalty called. Still looking for our first power play of the game.
Well, Dallas was fortunate there. Good cycling by St. Louis. Then Daryl Sador broke his stick. Nieuwendyk had to give him the stick, so it was 5 against 4.5 actually, but Dallas was able to get it out of the zone.
Belfour plays, no icing. Reflected by a star on the way through. Marshall lost the handle. Skrudland trying to lead Lyashenko. Hatcher back in his own zone, battling Yate. Try to center. Comes the pusher, and he will clear out to center ice.
Good momentum by the Blues here throughout this second period.
Allet giveaway. Lost his footing at his own end. No harm done. Here's Gate. Rung up with the play. Good hit, Jamie Pusher. And the play is whistled down with 12:19 to go. Some of the rough stuff after the whistle as well, involving Brian Skrudland and Jamal Mayers. So there is bad blood indeed between these rivals in the Western Conference. The holiday spirit all around here in the Gateway City in St. Louis. Stars have a 2-1 lead. Madonna. Mike Madonna, the Dallas Stars, 2-1 lead on St. Louis. They are 6-1-0 in their last 7 games now, and still have only scored the last 6 prior to last night. Just 16 total goals. The offense has been a problem that Ken Hitchcock talked to us before the game about. Good start in this game to get 2 in the first period. Trying to get untracked. Young taken down. Still no penalty call. Had the 2 fighting majors. That's been it. No power play. Now Hatcher carries into the offensive zone. Knocked aside by Reardon. Mike Keane. Moving maneuver. Centering. Try Hall on the move. Couldn't squeeze the trigger. Keane regains in the circle. Out for the captain, Hatcher. Goes toward the net. Deflected wide by Turgeon. And comes out near side. Heck, cannot get it out of his own end. Knocked down by Keane. One-time drive. Hall! Save made. Now Madonna the rebound at the goal line. Turk a great stop on Hall's blast.
Nice play by Darian Hatcher there, right at the St. Louis blue line. Hatcher playing the left side right now. Most of the time, he plays the right side with Matvichuk. As we pointed out earlier, he's playing 30 minutes a game, and he's playing with pretty much everybody on defense. Right now, Zubov, the right-hand shooter, is playing the right side.
Bouncing puck toward Keane at the end of his shift. He heads off ice, and a change for Ken Hitchcock Stars as well. There's Mark Bergevin. Stay-at-home defenseman. Conroy lost the handle. Chase centers. What a golden opportunity for a goal earlier in this frame. Blake Sloan leads the charge for Juha Lind. Here's Al McInnes. Leaving there for Bergevin. Sloan, good hustle. Lost his stick and his balance on the way through. He is a great skater, Frank.
Absolutely. Always under control.
Now on the move. Big shot, McInnes. Blocked by Belfour. Now McInnes time to tee it up and let it go. And afterwards, a little ugliness outside the Stars' crease. Let's head to John Butchergross with an update. John.
All right, Dave, let's go to the honky-tonk. Nashville home to Florida. 2-1 Panthers, and Mark Parrish will make it 3-1 with the wrist shot. It's 3-1 Florida, midway through the third.
John, thanks. Florida trying to rebound after that tough loss to these Dallas Stars last night. And John will have the NHL tonight following the game. Buffalo's Biron. He's doing a great job in trying to replace Dominik Hasek. And a big brawl involving the Flyers and Leafs, plus much more.
Big Al McInnes gets it low and fires right on the corner. Al doesn't miss the net very often. If he had been shot it lower there, they would have had a chance for a good rebound. He puts an awful lot of power. Takes a big divot when he shoots the puck.
One of the reasons that funky curve he's got on that right-handed stick. His blade is really bent in an unusual way. And he brings it more than 100 miles an hour on that slap shot. Offensive zone, Dallas trying to create. Last week when we were here for the San Jose game about, you ever think about hurting a goalie, I mean, or a player? And he said, look, it just never can cross your mind. You don't want to hurt anybody.
That's right.
But with that weapon, it is dangerous. No question. For teammates and the opposition in front. Dimitrov for Bartechko's got Hanzu set up. Bartechko center and try again. They control the puck so well. Dimitrov trying to flip cross ice, knocked down by Pusher, and he clears the zone. Will be icing. Now McInnes makes the touch-up.
Speaking of that stick that Al McInnes uses, it's kind of like almost like a sandwich. It's bent from the heel and laid back. It's a very unusual stick. He can get a lot of torque, a lot of momentum on the shot. It also means that he has to handle the puck actually very close to his own body. Otherwise, it's really difficult to make passes with it. But Al has perfected it. He's used it all the way along. He was here this morning at his 2 young sons out on the ice before any of the Blues came out. And he's got his little 7-year-old is using the same model. He said, I took a little bit of the curve out of it. I said, you're kidding me. You're making him use that stick? He said, yeah, he'll start using it way before me. Well, if he's anything like Dad, boy, he's going to be shooting against the barn and learning how to control it.
Not in Inverness, Nova Scotia, but in St. Louis, Missouri. That's where Al grew up. And he said right around the time he was playing Bantam hockey, quick shot, heck, knocked down. Around 15 years old, that's when he realized he had a tremendous slap shot, better than others. And his junior coaches were telling him, you keep shooting like that, son, someday you're going to take that to the NHL.
That must have been when the barn fell over, was it?
Probably did knock it down. He may take it to the Hall of Fame someday with a tremendous career for Al McInnes.
Well, Jochen Hecht has had a couple of pretty good chances in this game. His Dallas Stars are still winning 2-1. Al McInnes has had a couple of shots on goal, and he'll be looking for a couple more. Al McInnes, the Norris Trophy winner last season, a terrific year. He won the Norris, and he's 35 years old last year. That's the oldest guy to win it since Doug Harvey won it back in 1962. Harvey was 37 years old at the time.
Good trivia question. 20 goals, 42 helpers, 62 points. Norris Trophy winning season, Al McInnes. Grant Marshall, good hard hit from behind on Jeff Finley. And here's Mayers to center ice. Knocked down by Yake. Couldn't control, though. Offensive zone, Dallas. Squidlin. His line is played well with Lyashenko. 20-year-old rookie from Russia. Ellett gets in the way. Marshall trying to follow up. And here's Yake. Darts out of his own zone. Cross-ice play. Trying to hit Mayers, but the play is whistled down offside. Let's head back to John Butchergross with an update. John.
Thanks, Dave. Just as we showed you the last goal in this game, the Panthers saw Nashville get one right back. It's Patrick Shelburne right in front with the goal, beating Trevor Kidd. So the Preds back within one, 3-2 at the honky tonk.
John, thank you. Irishman Report is coming up. We'll have Flyers-Leafs feud, that big brawl, and under Herb Brooks, the Pens now 2-0, their new coach. Ron Dane, the Heisman Trophy, great running back, record-setting season from the University of Wisconsin, guided by Wright's alma mater.
Yeah.
Former Badger Brian Englund. Big hit, Conroy. Wow, on the offensive end. He absolutely laid out Jamie Pusher, who was slow to get up. And afterwards, we're going to get some rust up at the blue line. It's Conroy. It's several people. Pusher took offense to the big hit. He jumps back in it, albeit a little woozy. Chase is out there. Pellerin's involved.
Yeah, Pusher was the one who got dinged by Conroy in the near corner, and he was very slow to get back up. And it was Blake Sloan who initially took exception to it. Sloan went after Craig Conroy, and that's what started it. And, of course, with Kelly Chase out there, especially here in St. Louis, nobody messes with any of his guys. Kelly always gets in the fracas. Jamie Pusher got whacked by Conroy. And there's Blake Sloan. The emotions have been great in this game. It's a big part of it. See if we can pick up the initial sequences here in the corner. There's the hit. Conroy catching Pusher looking down. And Pusher was really slow to get up. The play went on. You could, oh man, you could feel that one. Look at him. Gets his gloves back, gets back into the fray. By now, by this point already, there's already a fight going on just at his own blue line. He gets one glove on, and that's about as far as you get. Yeah, I'm going to jump back into this one. Goes after Kelly Chase, the first white jersey he can get to. And a couple of haymakers thrown over the top there, too. I think he dinged Kelly Chase with one of those.
Chase landed a couple of right hands as well. I'm surprised Pusher was able to get up. You saw him kind of groping for the stick and glove. Not sure what to get first, if he could focus for a second there.
Well, when you play playoff series against each other, and these two teams, I mean, had a great one last year. The St. Louis Blues played some great playoff hockey the last couple of years. They've lost 3 consecutive years to the team that eventually won the Stanley Cup. I mean, they're real close. They're on the edge of going to that next step and perhaps getting themselves to the finals. So there's frustration here, and there's emotion all intermixed between the Dallas Stars and the St. Louis Blues. Very evident here tonight.
Sloan in the box for Dallas. Don't forget NHL Cool Shots, your ticket to a behind-the-scenes look at the NHL with host Jennifer Smith and Dan Moriarty. Comes your way Wednesdays at 5 o'clock on ESPN and here on ESPN2, 2:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Saturdays. For more, log on to ESPN.com, a part of that Go Network, go.com. Cool Shots on ESPN and ESPN2.
Well, Eddie Belfour was a big reason that these guys beat the St. Louis Blues and went on and won the Cup. Eddie worked out a deal with the National Hockey League. He actually got 2 days with the Stanley Cup. The first day he went to Carmen, Manitoba, which is where he's from, and he went to a banquet and talked for about half an hour. Eddie doesn't usually talk that much. Then the next day, he went back to the University of North Dakota for a groundbreaking ceremony for their new building, and then went on to Chicago and partied with a couple of friends. So Eddie Belfour had a lot of fun with the Stanley Cup, and boy, was it well deserved. He could easily have won the Conn Smythe Trophy last spring as well.
Also for St. Louis, number 39, Kelly Chase, a game misconduct.
Game misconduct for Kelly Chase. He was the third man into the brawl. So he has been given the gate, done for the night. Double minor on Sloan. He gets 4 minutes for roughing. And when it comes down to it, it's going to be a power play for the St. Louis Blues. Sloan, 4 minutes for roughing. Chase, the game misconduct, gets the 10-minute third man in penalty, and 2 minutes for roughing the minor on Craig Conroy.
Well, Sloan, I think, did a good thing, even though it was a clean hit by Conroy on Pusher. Sloan didn't like it. He knew his guy got popped. We don't see that very often anymore because, of course, you can draw extra penalties and you can be kicked out of the game at times, but Sloan did something in responding to the hit that we just don't see very often anymore.
Power play was 2 for 5 last night against the Nashville Predators in that win in Tennessee, and when scoring the power play goal, the Blues have been tough to beat. 15-5-0. Ninth this year for the power play on home ice. Now Al McGinnis at the red line will send it around the dasher into the offensive zone. Young out there with Turgeon, McGinnis, and Pronger at the points. Pavel Lemaitre, the other forward for St. Louis. Young lets it go through Turgeon, regains near side. Power play in the first of the night in this game for either team. Turgeon outside the left circle. One-timer, Pronger's drive goes wide to the right of Belfour. Back for Turgeon inside the circle. Swings it out for McGinnis. Big shot. Rebound left side. Just wide by Dimitra. In a bid for his second of the night. And it's cleared down ice by Brett Hull.
Neither one of these defensemen will hesitate to shoot the puck from the point. Both Al McGinnis and Pronger, if they get a lane and can get the puck to the net, it's a very basic, simple power play. That's what makes it so effective most of the time. They get the puck on target. Those forwards are up there going to the net.
Pronger blasted around the boards, takes a wacky bounce, and comes out to the high slot where it's cleared away by Keane. That could have been very dangerous for Dallas. 45 ticks left, power play time for St. Louis. On the move, Hanzus lost the handle. Hatcher tries to catch up. Hanzus come together. Big hit, penalties coming up. Looks like a penalty on Darian Hatcher. Elbowing call on Hatcher as he nailed Michael Hanzus into the end boards. And they'll have a two-man advantage, will St. Louis, for 33 seconds, and then a one-man advantage power play.
Well, this could turn out to be a key point in the hockey game. Darian Hatcher hits hard, but he also hit high on this play, knocking the helmet right off of Hanzus as he took him heavily into the boards. Kind of a cuff with the forearm. And the man is so powerful and so big, it doesn't look like he intentionally tried to do anything bad. But the referee was right there. And there's the last shot by Al McGinnis, which was actually a pass. I mean, he has his head up all the time. It was smart. It was right along the ice. And Eddie Belfour had to have his pad right there because Dimitra gets lost in behind the net or in the corner, and the timing is absolutely perfect. Al McGinnis looking for him. Good scoring chance thwarted by Eddie Belfour.
Crowded penalty box, to say the least, for Dallas. Hatcher, the elbowing minor at 12:44 of the second. Two-man advantage now for St. Louis. The next 30 seconds roughly, and it is cleared away by Matt Tkachuk of Dallas.
That was great execution by the Dallas Stars off that faceoff, which was critical for them when they're two men down.
Dimitra Turgeon along with Young. McGinnis, Pronger at the points. On the move, Young shot. Rebound loose. Saved by Belfour off the Young blast from in between the circles. Around the dasher. Still 10 seconds of the two-man advantage. Out for McGinnis. Here's Chris Pronger near side. Sends down low for Young. At the goal line, a 5-on-3. McGinnis wide. Instead of pass, it's broken up by Guy Carbonneau. Comes to Turgeon at the goal line. Turgeon marching in, trying to center to Dimitra. One penalty clears. Now just a one-man advantage for the next $1:15 or so, and here's Carbonneau at center ice. What a job by Guy Carbonneau. Down two men to break up that play.
So smart. He's played against Al McGinnis for so many years. He knows Al's tendencies. He recognized Al McGinnis' fake shot and the pass, and his stick was already there and broke it up.
A minute of power play time left for St. Louis. Move up near side. Young got it his way. Dimitra trying to follow up. Matt Tkachuk tripped up, lost the handle. Someone has a broken stick out there. McGinnis. A point to Pronger. Sends down low. Young a feed. Turgeon! Stopped by Belfour! Great save on a one-time snapshot by Pierre Turgeon. McGinnis for Pronger. Back to Miguel. McGinnis has won his shot. Rebound loose again. Comes to Dimitra. Fire. Save. Belfour. Now Young falls up. Along the end boards. Dimitra sets up shot behind the net. Rung up hard by Matvichuk. Out to the point. McGinnis. Near side Pronger. Still power play time. McGinnis winds. Thought about a shot. Scriven playing without a stick. He's scampering around without a stick out there. Getting in the way. Down low. Up the post. It went. Somehow a stop. Dimitra. And look out. Pavel Dimitra and Matvichuk exchange a couple of blows. Wild, frenetic action. Still 11 seconds left in the power play.
And still great basic power play by the St. Louis Blues. They got guys down low like Dimitra. They got Pronger and McGinnis doing what they need to do out at the point. And then Dallas got in a critical situation when Skrudland lost his stick, Dave, as you pointed out. It allowed McGinnis to get that much closer to him before he pulls the trigger on it. And they kept feeding McGinnis. There's Matvichuk in front against Dimitra, and the great glove save by Eddie Belfour. Eddie made 3 or 4 just terrific saves there in a sequence. Turgeon from the slot. Look at those quick hands. Oh, man. Eddie Belfour just terrific. Like he's at a picnic in the park when all this stuff was going on around him on a peanut butter sandwich.
23-14, the shot advantage. 7 shots over the 2 power plays together here for Pierre Turgeon and St. Louis, but so far unable to crack Eddie Belfour in this period. Off the faceoff, Hanzus sending it right at Belfour. Had to be alert to look inside. Here's Bartechko at the goal line. Out for Pronger and McGinnis. Sends right back. Lubas. Bartechko on the move. Trying to feed in front. Bartechko. Now Hanzus looking to get there for Heck. He was open for a moment. Deflected wide by Juha Lind. Regained by Michael Hanzus near corner. Run up by Pusher. A battle for it in the corner. Juha Lind trying to come free. Far side Pronger. Physical play in front. Heck knocked down by Sador. No call. Bartechko. Sends for Hanzus. Even strength. What a jump by Banis. Now he's Heck. Jochen Heck loose inside the right circle. Missed the net. Finley trying to keep it alive offensive zone. It's poked free by Juha Lind.
Michael Hanzus has been just spectacular in this game, in the cycling down low in Dallas' zone, protecting the puck. Wow, what a play on this last shift.
Langenbrunner trying to center the offensive end. The play is whistled down offside. 4:25 to go in an exciting second period. The Stars, great job on penalty kill to preserve a 2-1 lead.
Michael Hanzus along the boards here with some terrific work, spinning and controlling the puck, then the quick throw out front for another good scoring chance for Jochen Heck, who's had 4 or 5 in this game and hasn't been able to cash in yet.
23 Blues shots so far. They've allowed 14 for Dallas. 8 times this year, St. Louis has surrendered 15 shots or less after giving up 32 to Nashville in that win last night. Their defense has improved against the likes of Sergei Zubov.
Well, Roman Turek hasn't had as much action in this second period because his guys have been so good down in the far end of the ice. And Roman Turek is the #1 guy here. Previous to now, he'd only played maximum of 26 games in an NHL season. But you know what? The year before he came here, he was playing in Germany. He played 40-odd games that year. Plus, he played for the Czech national team in the World Championships. A total of 60-odd games. Can he do it? Yeah, he can do it, and he's certainly got the skills to do it, but we won't know until April rolls around.
Still no NHL playoff games to his credit. Backed up the whole way, watching Eddie Belfour take the Stars to the Stanley Cup championship a year ago. Paul Mayers tried to clear it, and instead it's knocked out of play by Brad Lukovich. Tune in Wednesday night right here on ESPN2, a National Hockey Night doubleheader. First at 7 o'clock Eastern, the LA Kings travel to the Big Apple to take on the New York Rangers, who are suddenly hot. And at 10 o'clock, Paul Kariya and the Mighty Ducks battle the Colorado Avalanche. That's Kings Rangers at 7, Ducks Avs at 10 Wednesday night here on ESPN2. ESPN and ABC, your exclusive network home for all NHL action. Draw outside the St. Louis blue line. Conroy head-to-head with Skrudland. Heading in on I-70 East. Notice a billboard here in St. Louis. Craig Conroy, the great defensive centerman. It says, "My condolences to your power play." Got a serious look on his face. He's really into it.
Yeah.
Their penalty kill has been outstanding most of the year. Dallas with a big PK, though, here in the second period. Not a huge part of the story. Keeping this a 2-1 game. A centering try, Pellerin trying to hit Ellen, who was streaking in, looking to jump in on the play. Cleared out to center ice and Prunk. Two-line pass, play whistle down with 3:09 to go in the second.
Well, the St. Louis Blues up against the Pacific Division this year. They have not been too successful. 1-3-1 against Pacific and the rest of the NHL. 17-6-1. Good thing they're not in the Pacific, where they'd have to play that many more games against them. But they're not the only ones struggling against Pacific Division. The tightest and the best overall division in the National Hockey League this year. Every team very strong.
Absolutely loaded all the way down to Anaheim. Right now, that division, San Jose, Phoenix, LA, Dallas, and Anaheim, has the 2nd, 4th, 6th, 7th, and 8th spots in the Western Conference race. All 5 teams would make the playoffs if the regular season ended today. That's saying a lot. How about the Sharks and Owen Nolan, who's taken over the scoring lead from Jaromir Jagr. Turgeon centering try, had Young set up between the circles. Broken up by King. Modano has been held in check. Mike Modano trying to dance out. Had his 10th goal of the year last night in the win over Florida. Hull on the move, right wing. A feed to Modano. Backhand try. That's the way he scored last night against the Panthers. Went top shelf for the backhander. Now King in the far corner. Out for Matt Tkachuk at the left point. Sends it right on, deflected wide by Brett Hall. He was hammered from behind by Reardon, just in front of Turek. Pronger sends it over the glass and out of play.
Dallas spent probably about the last 8 or 10 minutes of the second period just reading plays coming at them. In other words, St. Louis has been taking it to them. Mike Modano's good at it. They're well schooled. They played that way all last year. They're a good defensive team. But they really do need to get something going offensively here, because you can't spend all the time in your own end and in the neutral zone reading the rush that's coming at you. And that's what's been happening to them the last 10 minutes or so. Sergei Zubov with a couple of points last night. He was struggling for a long stretch there. They rely on Zubov to produce some points for them.
Stanley Cup championships now for Sergei Zubov with the Rangers in '94, last year at Dallas. Top defenseman scoring-wise for the Dallas Stars this year. Juha Lind had a great now and get it free in his own end. Wrestle off the play by Dmitry. Puck goes to front, set just wide. Artetsko, a good chance. Just to the right of Belfour, right on the doorstep. Now Dimitra centering there. Belfour will take no chance. And he covers up 1:46 to go in the period.
Michael Handzus was right off the edge of the crease, and it looked like he had almost a free goal the way Dimitra had scored in the first period. But somebody seemed to knock it out of the air. I'm not sure whose stick it was. Eddie Belfour makes a save. There's a lot of bodies in front. Right there. It was knocked away by, I think that's Zubov, a Dallas stick in front. Handzus was lurking right on the edge, and he would have had a slam dunk into the open side of the net. Good defensive play there by Zubov.
Zubov broke the 15-game goalless streak Brian mentioned last night against Florida in his own zone, helping save a good try. And off the face-off, another shot right on net. Belfour immediately off the draw, had to be alert. McKinnon and Bergevin paired here for Joe Quenneville's St. Louis Blues. 90 seconds left in the period. Eastwood sends it to the offensive zone. And now Bergevin. Second of 4 regular season meetings between these rivals in the West. The last 2 will be played in Dallas. First game of the year went to the Stars here at the Kiel Center last month, 5-2. Eastwood far corner. Line of center.
Last minute of
Pellerin set up.
play.
Scott Pellerin in the offensive zone, regains the handle and deflected off a stick, comes to the near wing boards. Langenbrunner. Full head of steam in the offensive end. Quick shot, Hatcher. Gloved down by Turek. And afterwards, Brendan Morrow, the rookie, mixing it up with Bergevin.
Yeah, Brendan Morrow was right on the doorstep. Darian Hatcher had his head up, and he was trying to get the shot to the net. but it was airborne enough for Roman Turek to get the glove on it. And I think Morrow gives his glove a little tap. There's Hatcher just throwing it there, and there's Morrow. Yeah, can I knock that thing loose? Turek says nope. And then a couple of Blues come in. Marc Bergevin was the first one on the scene. And Morrow not shy to get involved. He is fresh out of junior hockey, but he's got an edge to him. He's not a huge guy from the standpoint of height. He's only around 6 feet, but he's well over 200 pounds, and he had 248 penalty minutes last year, so he's not afraid to mix it up.
Along with 41 goals for Portland in the Western League. Ken Hitchcock said earlier in the year they didn't really want to call him up so soon. He may not be with the team all year long. So young, just 20 years old, but the role he's playing now, scoring goals like he is tonight, with an edge to him, he may be around the whole year.
He called him a February player. In other words, they were looking to February before they would call him up. But as you pointed out earlier, Dave, in the game, Dallas had tried some other players earlier in this season, some new young blood, and the chemistry just wasn't there. Hitchcock was very pointed about it. They sent those guys down, and Morrow was one of the young guys they brought up. So he's ahead of schedule.
First thought he might be even a year away from coming up to the National Hockey League, but he has made a big impact already. Can he sustain it? 20 years old, that's the question. Such an intense atmosphere, game in and game out. He's done well so far. Madonna offensive zone for Keane. Knocked down by Reardon. In the near circle. And Dimitri comes free. Made pass for Young. Chuck back in his own end. Turgeon trying to follow up. Keane got it his way and lifted his stick. Up Pierre Turgeon. Final 10 seconds of the second. Madonna clears the center ice. Hall on the move. Keane, can they get one last shot off? Chris Pronger says no. And the horn sounds, ending the first cruise. Happy holidays to you, and so glad you could join us tonight from the Midwest. Carbonneau crossing the line. Cross-ice play for Blake Sloan. Stuck up for his teammate Jamie Pusher in the second period with some scraps after a big hit from Craig Conroy. And the players whistle down.
Well, the Dallas Stars haven't dominated this game by any stretch. They had a good first period. St. Louis came back with some good pressure. Ken Hitchcock talked about the fact that early on we struggled so much. We were sort of haphazard all over the place. But now we're getting to the point where we can play 40 solid minutes out of 60. So at least that's an improvement. Stats so far through 2 periods. Faceoffs getting to be a big advantage for the St. Louis Blues. Unusual because the Dallas Stars usually have some pretty good guys, including Nieuwendyk and Carbonneau, who usually dominate that area, but St. Louis ahead handily in that department.
2 for 2 on the penalty kill for Dallas, and Brian, they've killed off 43 of their past 46 penalties faced and power plays faced. Craig Conroy throws in the offensive zone. Belfour plays to the near corner. Conroy falls up, tries to center off the skate of Nieuwendyk. Comes out for Scott Pellerin. On the far wall, Eastwood lost a hand. Gained by Conroy. Knocked down Mike Eastwood. Sends along the dasher, trying to hit Pellerin on the move. Comes free near side. Want to hit Conroy on Brendan Morrow. But Conroy has been very physical in this game, and the puck touched by a high stick in the neutral zone.
Well, Chris Pronger is so used to playing so much. He plays 30 minutes every single night. We talked to him about that. What's it like?
You get used to playing 30 minutes a game, and you know, sometimes when there's a lot of penalties, you get a little more tired because there's a little bit more of a workload, and you're running around a little more on your own end, trying to cover up and kind of trying to cover 2 positions at once sometimes. So it's a little taxing at times, but other times power play, it's pretty easy just standing at the point, passing it down, and letting them shoot. You know, it's pretty easy power play. It doesn't really take too much energy, but you know, sometimes you need to be moving a little bit more in some games, and other games it's just not as physical and not as taxing.
Well, sometimes you can spread yourself too thin if you're playing night after night after night and playing in every situation, as he talks about. You know, the special teams mean a lot. If you're killing a lot of penalties or run a lot of power plays, you start to try to do too many things and you lose a little bit of your game. But Pronger's pretty good at sorting things out. Plus 63 the last 3 seasons, outstanding.
This year, Brian, heading into this game, a plus 15. That's tied for 4th in the NHL. Chris Chelios of Detroit, number 1 at plus 27, heading into their game with Boston, which they won at the Fleet Center tonight.
And it's all Detroit and Anaheim guys. The two top boys, Solani and Correa, I believe, are both up in the top 5 in plus-minus in the National Hockey League, too. That's a little bit of a surprise.
Brian was talking about the power play. Last night he jumped down, got a great feed from Turgeon and knocked one in. For his first goal in 17 games. He's got 20 points this year, 3 goals, 17 helpers. For the captain, Chris Pronger. He's been shut down the entire second period so far here in the third on the move. Got knocked down. Went right on by Brett Hall. Now he regains along the dasher, trying to center. Pronger loved it. Caught up in the sweater for a moment, then knocks it down. And here's Young. Scott Young near side. On his own blue line. Cross-ice play. Reardon sends it right on. And Belfour quickly starting to his right. Uses the blocker to deflect out of side. Keane at center ice and a line change for Dallas. He'll chip into the offensive zone, and Pronger's got it. Just more than 2 minutes in. Third period from the Kiel Center. Mitra has the lone tally for the Blues. That came in the first period. Lewandijk and Morrow, the rookie, scoring for Dallas. Even strength goals, all 3 so far. Rodgers a follow-up near corner. Here is Dimitra trying to create. Pusher all over him. Dimitra's brought down and no call. Now they're definitely letting him play in this game tonight. Blues have not had a power play. Don Koharski, 2-referee system this evening. And they're coming. Dan Shakti are the linesmen. Marshall will try to center there for Dallas. Lyashenko falls up near side. Cross-ice play had Carbonell wide open. Finley was a bit late on the back check. Regained. Now Carbonell behind the net. They try to get that and slide it to Marshall. Out to the point. Off holds it in. Carbonell behind the cage. Rung up there by Ellett. Carbonell trying to regain. Hanzu's poked it free near side. Big hit. Juha Lind had lined up Dimitra, who just at the last second turned a bit and avoided the big hit. Look at which on the move. The defenseman jumping in, sent it wide. Zubov right at the net. Top made by Turek. Puck loose. Rebound. For a moment, Sloan had a crack at it. Just beyond his reach. Now Mayers out of the pack. Jamal Mayers in. His second of the year. We are tied.
Jamal Mayers has got great speed, and he's a burst of speed at the blue line that gives him the chance here. The second time in the game that the Dallas Stars have given up a play right through the middle of the ice. The first time was on the very first play of the game, and it hit the post by Dimitra. This time, Jamal Mayers protecting the puck, going to his backhand, and the backhand such a hard shot for the goaltender to read. Eddie Belfour goes down, but it gets by him. But that was the Dallas defense that didn't read the play quick enough on that one.
Second of the year, first in the last 17 games. His last tally came November 5th at Edmonton. Now Morrow on his own blue line. A new game from St. Louis. We're tied. Fans really quieted down. Jamal Mayers, his role, create, be very physical. He's a good skater and can also deliver some punishing hits. Now he bids for another goal. Conway on the move. Conway! A Blues barrage. 2 tallies in 30 seconds.
Killer instinct by the St. Louis Blues. It's a good sign when you score in bunches, when you get a team back on their heels. And Dallas is definitely back on their heels. Look at them backing in. 2 guys doubling up on one player, giving Conroy enough room and time to make the play. They both the Dallas defenders went to Mayers. Conroy with the open shot, and he tucked it by Belfour on the far side.
Conroy's 5th of the year. Up to 10 points on the season. And 2 quick goals in half a minute's time from a couple of unlikely players. Jamal Mayers, Craig Conroy gets his 5th. Dallas has called a timeout to try to switch the momentum. While we have a timeout on the ice, let's go back to John Butchergrass.
Thanks, Dave. Eddie Belfour could use a save of the night. Here's our 1-800-COLLECT-SAVE on the night. It's Trevor Kidd having a wonderful year in Florida, stopping Patrick Shelberg, the groovy kind of glove for Trevor. And it's the Panthers going on to win, just 5-8-1 now on the road for Florida. Save of the night, 1-800-COLLECT, Trevor Kidd.
Oh, man, what a save.
Stop by Kidd, rebounding from getting sent out of the game last night in Dallas when he gave up a couple of goals early. The two goalies tonight. Belfour had been brilliant until the lapse here in the third.
Just a good push by the St. Louis Blues there. And nice job by Conroy to wait and wait and wait on Eddie Belfour. And he picked that far corner clean.
Conroy, a couple of years back, was the runner-up to Yuri Lettinen of these Dallas Stars, the Selke winner for the best defensive forward in the NHL. We talked about his prowess as a penalty killer as well. Some offensive muscle being flexed tonight by number 22 from Potsdam, New York, and Clarkson University.
And Jamal Mayer's now a key figure in both these goals. He scores the first one, and then he has two players go to him, leaving Conroy open in the second. Record as a Kiel center for the St. Louis Blues the last 3 years, a substantial increase. These guys are tough here at home, and they're showing why here tonight.
So things drastically changing on the Stars, as they did last night in their game against Florida. Had a 3-0 lead at the end of the second. Panthers storm back to score 3 in a row and tie it. And in the third, Langenbrunner able to get the game-winning goal. Let's see if they can rally again here. Stars on the move in the offensive zone. Hall leads there. Pronger able to collect and clear down ice. That will not cross the goal line and cannot be icing.
Well, the top line for the Dallas Stars, Modano, Hull, and Keane, have had very few scoring chances and have not been able to get anything much going in this game at all. They need somebody for the Stars to come back and get themselves back in this game now, down 3-2.
Mayers gets that first goal from Conroy and Yake, then Conroy from Mayers and Yake, so that line combining on 2 straight tallies for the Blues here in the third, and they have got the lead. What a turnaround. Hanser's offensive zone, quick shot, stick save, Belfour. He follows up on the rebound, and front Barteshko! Denied by Skrudland. Great play, Brian Skrudland, to break up the shot. Barteshko was alone for a moment. Talking to Barteshko this morning, he said he couldn't wait to get another goal and break a 5-game goalless streak. Starting to press a bit because the Slovak pack line has not been producing the way it had at the beginning of the year.
But boy, have they had a strong game here tonight, and it's all been their cycling down low. The first 2 periods outstanding. That last play they just produced, it was so quick, I think it stunned Dallas. Dallas, I think, was set to start running around in their own corners the way the Slovakian line's been doing for the first 2 periods, and boom, there was a quick play up front.
Lynn tried to get ahead of the pack, but a 2-line pass whistles down play. 14:03 to go in our third period from St. Louis.
Sometimes when you consistently do something well, which the Slovak line has done for St. Louis, the other team starts to anticipate. They're throwing it at the net. Now they'll start the cycle, and Dallas will say, okay, we're going to be in the corner for a watch the quick play out front. I mean, that's beautiful. That comes full circle, literally. And Barteshko had a terrific play on net. And again, Eddie Belfour, who's still been strong. Here's the initial play, a quick down low. It looks like the cycle starting, but right back out front, Barteshko with nice feet. Good recovery there by Brian Skrudland, too, to get a stick on it.
Shot knocked down. Pellerin offensive zone. Throws it right on net. And the rebound loose for a second. Swallowed up by Belfour. Recovery by St. Louis and Scott Pellerin. They have a lead, third period. It's like the right hand or wrist of Guy Carbonneau being iced by the Dallas trainer. We saw in the commercial timeout, he was wincing. A little bit of pain, but 39-year-old body been through the wars a time or two.
I'll say.
Off the draw, puck loose. Sent into the corner by Mayers. He and Conroy are the heroes currently for these Blues. Dallas had gone 9 straight road games, including the 4-game road win streak, without allowing more than 2 goals away from Reunion Arena until now. Those 2 guys break up that streak quickly. Last year in their cup run, the Stars had a franchise best 18 straight games away from home, allowing 2 or less.
Jamal Mayers just got whacked in the face. He's just slow getting up, and the puck comes right to him.
To Conroy. Mayers again is decked in the far corner. Sidor getting the stick up. Physical play involving Sidor and Jamal Mayers. Now Morrow sends cross ice. Here's Terry Yake at his own blue line. Got a shuffle that through for Scott Young. Glove down first by Matt Tkachuk. And here's Brendan Morrow. He had the second goal and what at one time was a dominant Dallas lead. Now on the move, Heck takes shot. Left it wide again. Plenty of room to maneuver. And Heck has missed the net on several opportunities tonight.
Eddie Belfour's got Heck's number. Heck has had, I think, more scoring chances than anybody else on this St. Louis team, and anybody in this game for that matter. That one was a great scoring chance, and he cut it too fine on the far side.
Really a blast, though, off the stick of the rookie, Jochen Heck. Near side, Young trying to hold it in. He and Hatcher do battle. Comes loose for Mike Keane. Cross ice, and they march into the offensive zone. Hall trying to get through. Pronger gets in his way. Starts the march the other way. Now Hecht on the move. Pronger, his quick shot deflected wide. Keane at center ice. Cross ice play Hatcher. The captain jumps in. Hatcher centering try. Comes right for Scotland. Stopped by Turek. A great save. Hatcher trying to center. Sidor at the left point. Sends it right on, deflected wide. Comes through the circles. And then to the far wing boards. Bartechko. Man dragged down at center ice as Hanzu's penalties coming up against Dallas.
Brett Hall's going to go, and I think it's for interference. He knows that he pulled down Michael Hanzus in the neutral zone. And Brett Hall gets a big round of applause for his 2-minute penalty. Holding the stick perhaps is going to be the call.
Obstruction hooking. The official call from Don Koharski, the minor. Here with 11:45 to go in the third period. Now the Stars will put that top penalty kill unit to test again.
Well, there's Brett Hall with a shot from behind on Bartechko. That was after he'd already been assessed the penalty. He could have ended up with 4 minutes. With that little shot there, a little bit of an elbow, but he only gets the 2 for obstruction hooking in the neutral zone on the back check.
So Brett Hall needed the 3 goals for 600 in his career, and if you were ever thinking about Hall with a hat trick tonight, he has not done that as a member of the Dallas Stars. He does have 7 2-goal games, 28 career hat tricks, but they all came before he got to Dallas. With Calgary briefly in his career, and then of course the 11-year stint here in St. Louis. Now a power play for the Blues. Hunters throwing up, what a hit that was. Slammed into the boards by Matt Tkachuk. Sent down low by Dimitri. Here's Craig Conroy earning some power play time. After his big goal, the go-ahead tally. Here in the third, Hunters dragged down. Fans want another penalty. They won't get it. Now Carbonell's own circle. Stripped away by Dimitra. McGinnis for Pronger. Power play time here. Sloan trying to break it up. Matt Tkachuk a hard hit. Far wing boards on Hanzus, who really has been beaten up tonight in this game. Now short-handed, Dallas marches out.
Hanzus has paid a big price, but he's done a great job. Oh, now it's going to be an even-up penalty here. Now McGinnis is going to go for holding.
Ran over Zubov. Zubov at the blue line was steamrolled. And that will be a holding minor on Al McGinnis. He'll go to the box for the next 2. We'll have a 4-on-4 for the next minute 10, then a power play for Dallas. Be sure to tune in Wednesday night right here on ESPN2. National Hockey Night doubleheader. First at 7 Eastern, the LA Kings travel to the Big Apple to take on the New York Rangers, who are catching fire. They've been playing well of late. 10 o'clock Eastern time, Paul Correa and the Ducks battle the Colorado Avalanche. Kings Rangers at 7, Ducks Avs at 10, Wednesday night here on ESPN2.
To say that Al McGinnis is a little surprised by this call would be drastic understatement. He stood in the same place on the ice and said, me? You really mean it's me? He got the stick in between the legs. You're taught from a real early age when you're playing defense, that's how you play a guy coming at you. You get the stick between the legs, and if a guy goes to make a move, you move in close to him, you spin him around. That's what he did in classic style. There's always arguments back and forth as to whether or not it should be a penalty. It was definitely called.
So we have 4-on-4 for the next minute 10. Hatcher at 1 point, along with Marshall, Madonna, and Matt Tkachuk. Out on the ice for Dallas. Cross ice intercepted by Turgeon. He's been held relatively in check. Has 1 assist so far in this game. Hard hit from behind where Reardon just got nailed by Marshall. It has been physical. Turgeon with Hecht up front. Pronger and Reardon are the two defensemen for Joel Quenneville's team, the 4-on-4. Al McGinnis off the ice. That's good news for Dallas. 35 seconds of the 4-on-4. Then a power play for the Stars. Great chance for Dallas to get right back in it. Tie this game once again. Marshall in the neutral zone. Deflected from behind by Yake. Marshall and Modano head off ice. Lewandijk and Langenbrunner are the forwards. 4-on-4 Yake. For Young. Scott Young. Offensive zone. He has been red hot, making 6 goals in the last 7 games.
Great breakout by the St. Louis Blues, giving their 2 players up front lots of time and room to work with. And this is the first goal that Eddie Belfour really misplays. I think he's guessing a little bit there. It looked like he wanted to cover up 5-hole at the last minute. He seemed to change his mind a little bit, and most certainly Young beat him on the short side, and Eddie was looking back over his shoulder at the time. But St. Louis's breakouts consistently throughout this game have been the key to why they pulled ahead in this game. Their breakouts much more solid than Dallas's.
8th of the year, 3rd in 2 games for Scott Young. Yake and Reardon get the assist. A couple of helpers for Yake in this 3rd period, in which St. Louis has stormed back. Morrow had it deflected away by Bergevin. Over the boards and out of play, and this crowd is starting to really make noise.
This is the type of home environment you're supposed to have when you're a good hockey club and you're putting up good numbers at home, which the St. Louis Blues are certainly doing. This crowd is very appreciative of their efforts, and they're really pumping it up right now with a 2-goal lead. I mean, it's a big mountain for Dallas to climb now to get themselves back in it.
Power play still in effect for Dallas, and when the Blues allow an opponent to score first, that's a remarkable record. 8-7-1. Most teams you see
absolutely
well below 500 when that happens. Pellerin sends it down ice off the end board. Belfour's got to play it. Tipped away by Conroy, who's just been flying in this period. Zubov sent down, no call. And Sador, 30 seconds power play time for Dallas. Special teams, penalty kill has been pretty solid for St. Louis. Look at the struggle, though, on power play for the Stars. 25th in the NHL. They were top 10 last year. Lewandijk tried to get free in the left circle. Zubov at the left point. Possesses that great slap shot. Here's Hull outside the circle. To Sador. It's knocked down wide. Sent right on. Langenbrunner turns and fires and sends it wide. Hull tried to keep that in the offensive end. It's cleared away. Now a streak in play the other way, and from McGinnis gets to the box. Oh, Al McGinnis had himself a clean look, but couldn't find the handle.
Dallas not very good at keeping their head up and realizing who's where. They lost track of McGinnis.
Now Modano end in. Mike Modano carries in, save turn. Trying to go short side. Rebound came free. Modano almost had it come right onto the tape. Keane is rung up. Good play by Finley. Here's Young. He has a team's 4th goal. Dallas putting on more pressure. Knocked down Turgeon. Hatcher from behind. Penalty coming up against the Dallas Stars captain Darian Hatcher. He wrestled down Pierre Turgeon along the near wing boards. Scott Young gets another goal. He has been on fire. 3 in 2 games for him. They lead by 2. St. Louis a 4-2 lead. 3 tallies in this 3rd period. Came in trailing 2-1. Jamal Mayers, Craig Conroy, Scott Young all have scored on Ed Belfour. And now after a tripping minor to Darian Hatcher, the Stars captain, power play time for St. Louis. They can really put it away.
Absolutely. And the 2 minutes in the power play obviously is a mode where Dallas on the back of their heels keep killing penalties.
Turgeon's big shot, forcing a glove save from Belfour. That was a blast. Bidding for his 16th goal of the year. Pierre Turgeon at the red line. Darts into the offensive zone. He's there on the move to Mitra. Back to Turgeon. McGinnis at the point with Reardon. Now McGinnis wants his shot is stopped. In front was Pavel Lemaitre trying to tip it in, and it's cleared away by Zubov.
You see how close Guy Carbonneau was to stealing that cross-ice pass from D to D. He would have had clear sailing for a breakaway all the way down. That's one thing St. Louis obviously has to guard against. They're in control in this game, and on the power play, ahead by 2 goals. Be smart. Doesn't matter if they score. Just don't give up anything.
Conroy for Mayers in the power play time again. Here's Gate. They've all been brilliant in this third period offensively. Pronger and McGinnis at the point. And Pronger sends it just beyond the blue line. Good play by Scribblen and Lynn to force that wide pass.
Well, those 2 forwards, the penalty-killing forwards of Dallas, are really uptight, and Pronger saw what just happened with Carbonneau almost stealing that one. Makes a bad pass that goes out of the zone, but it's better than the alternative of a breakaway.
Conroy in the offensive end. Far side play, Yate. Cross-ice, McGinnis winds. Thought about the big shot. Knocked away by Carbonneau's skate. Yate regains outside the left circle. Still power play time. Conroy shoveling across ice. Through the crease harmlessly. Mayers was set up. Couldn't get Wood to it. Mayers pokes that ahead for Conroy to the near corner. Carbonneau lost the handle, and it's cleared away by Matvichuk. Final moments, power play time for St. Louis. They'll let this one expire. Hatcher out of the box. Even strength 5 aside. 2-goal game as Finley sends it around the dasher. Eastwood follows up near side. Feet in front. One-time drive. Put right on. Pavel Lemaitre, the quick trigger. Man, can he release that shot fast.
Well, that was a terrific snapshot by Lemaitre, who was in good scoring position. St. Louis Blues continue to be in control of this game. Looks like they're going to be tough to beat from here on in.
Talked about the numbers when St. Louis gives up the first goal of the game. How about when they trail after 2 as they have in this game? 7-1 before tonight, and the shots, well, they ring true as well. Keeping the shot total down for Dallas. Big advantage in this one. Coming right for Young, getting for another goal, and it sticks up by Belfour. Scott Young has got that great shot. Another quick release from a St. Louis forward, much like Pavel Lemaitre.
Under Joe Quenneville's watch here in St. Louis, he has consistently had his team give up very few shots. They are dominating the Dallas Stars in that department. The last 2 years in particular, he has really instilled a good two-way game in this team. You have to love the work that Quenneville has done. The players still continue to love his work here, and they are building momentum year by year. I pointed out earlier, the last 3 straight years, they've lost out in the playoffs to the team that's won the Cup.
Tom McGinnis is the one who says this could be it. He really feels like the ingredients are intact. And a very good #1 goalie now in Roman Turek. A lot of things happening in terms of the balance of this team, too. 4 solid lines. McGinnis has gone on the record telling us he feels they could contend this year. Go all the way. Sharp angle shot. Put right on. Good pressure by Langenbrunner and Lind. But Turek again looking for his first ever victory against his ex-team, the Dallas Stars, up to the task. Lyashenko tried to come free. Sidor near corner with Bartechko. Oh, punishing hit in front. Dimitri's shot denied by Belfour. Bartechko just got slammed to the ice. Sidor and Langenbrunner double team Bartechko and just crushed him.
Big, heavy hits. And again, the emotion that exists between these 2 teams after last year's playoff is going to continue throughout this year. I'd love to see them play again.
One-timer, Pellerin in for his 2nd goal of the year, denied by Belfour. Great chance created by Conroy. What a try on that one-time play that nearly clicked for another goal.
St. Louis has got great offensive feel throughout this game. First period, a little bit they struggled, but they really found themselves, and they created some excellent scoring chances like the one we just saw.
Hatcher at center ice. It's the return feed. Big Stars captain, 6'5", 225. Numbers across the line. Diving to keep it in the offensive zone. And it comes free to Pronger. Avoids a hit from Morrow. Lukowicz, the touch-up icing is the call. 4:06 to go here in our third period. We check in with our Zima storyline. Dallas had won 6 of 7 before running into a buzzsaw in the third period. Terry Yake, after coming back from the groin injury, really taking over tonight. St. Louis going wild in the third period.
And our Zima storyline replay are those 2 goals in 30 seconds to give St. Louis this lead. Jamal Mayers with the first one. That made it 2-2. And then Craig Conroy coming right back with a great shot on the far side to Eddie Belfour. That made it 3-2. And then Scott Young finish it off. 4-2 St. Louis, and that's the way it stands right now.
All here in the third period. Here's Brett Hall, sending it right on, bouncing puck. Turek will take no chance in his own end and force a face-off deep in the blue zone. Brett Hall trying to break through here against his ex-team. In St. Louis, Hall has had 3 goals in the year plus, and Ken Hitchcock's club certainly, when scoring 3 or more, has been brilliant. On the other hand, less than 3 has been a struggle.
And last year they scored 3 or more 50 times, as you can see. They have to go a long ways to repeat that this year.
Deflected wide by Hatcher. He was free for a moment in the low slot. Finlay tries to rake it free of trouble. NHL tonight with John Butchergross. All the highlights. Big day in the National Hockey League. Including another win, another goal for Detroit, and Steve Yzerman, and the play is whistled down at the blue line. 3:38 to go in the third period.
Well, that's the way it's gone for Mike Madonald's line most of the night here tonight. He tried to take the zone. Mike Keane was thinking ahead, thinking he was going to take the zone a little bit quicker. Zigging when he should be zagging. That's the way it's gone for Madonald, Hall, and Mike Keane. Here's the feed ahead. Here's Madonald. There's Keane, just offside by a hair.
Try to go back and touch up with the left skate.
But one of the keys for this game for St. Louis has been their ability to stand up at the blue line. There has been a definite difference in the way St. Louis has been able to stand up at their blue line and force offsides like that. And Dallas has given up their blue line a lot tonight.
The rookie Lyashenko darts into the offensive zone, trying to center for Langenbrunner. Zubov taking a chance, jumps into play, quick pass. Came right to Lind, who pulled the trigger, deflected wide. Now Yake far side. For Jamal Mayers. Running down to 3 minutes left, third period. Blues so good at home this year. We talked about their streak of 10-2-2 over the past 14. They lost their first 2 home dates of this season. Since then, they have been tough. At the Kiel Center, and on the road for that matter. On Zeus at the goal line. Dimitra, one-timer. Oh, it's stopped by Belfour. Pavel Dimitra, the quick release, bidding for his second goal of the night. ESPN's coverage of National Hockey Night continues Tuesday, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, when Eric Lindros, 15 goals for the Big E, leads the Philadelphia Flyers in Buffalo to take on the defending Eastern Conference champs, Michael Pekka and the Sabres. Tuesday, 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN, full national telecast, no blackout in either market.
Watch Pavel Dimitra get open here in the high slot area. Dallas Stars have been victimized a lot in this game by plays like this. Look, at nobody's on him. He gets it and shoots it all in one motion. You had 2 Dallas defenders back down deep and then a gap in between.
Dimitra winds, big shot, a pad stop by Belfour. Time to sit up there, Brian, and really let it go. Pavel Dimitra has emerged as a brilliant offensive player, and Mike Kitchen, their assistant coach in St. Louis, telling us this morning how Pavel has been told by the coaches to vary the way he comes in on forecheck, sets up for shots, the moves he makes, because now, after 37 goals a year ago, he is part of every other team's pre-game meeting.
Absolutely. He's got tremendous skills, and they know coming into it that Dallas Stars have to pay attention to Dimitra. But Dallas, in a couple of departments here, have been a little lax inside their own blue line, and they've given up, I want to say, 10 or 12 maybe really good scoring chances that they normally haven't in the last year or two, just like Dimitra had on that in his last shift. A real good shot chance on that.
Brad Lukovic back up to his own blue line. 1:45 and counting, third period. Stars need a rally in a hurry. Madonna the return feed, trying to go cross ice, hand hold there. Keane as well, broken up by McGinnis. And the Blues clear the zone for Young. In center ice, he'll dump that in. Stopped by Belfour, leaves for Zubov. Brad Lukovic. Dancing out of his own zone, cross ice for Madonna, lets that go. For Hall, broken up first though by Pronger and sent down ice by Pierre Turgeon. Line change for the Blues. Stars trying to take advantage. Keane sending ahead for Madonna. Stick held by Conroy. Great job, Craig Conroy, on back check in his own zone. He really was able to limit Mike Madonna.
Conroy with a good, that was a good play. He just hooked the stick of Mike Madonna. It was a wholesale change by St. Louis. That's the only reason that Dallas was able to get inside the zone relatively easily, because it's been a struggle for them to get in that zone. And they don't seem to have the feel for this game offensively to get themselves back in it. They've been trying over the last 4 or 5 minutes, but they just can't find anybody open. They've mishandled the puck a few times just on their own volition, and the rest of the time it's just St. Louis constantly taking it to them.
Empty net for Dallas. Belfour is out. Extra attacker on the ice now for the Stars with 1:06 to go in the third. Lyashenko. And Eastwood taking the draw with the empty net on the other end. Sador trying to rake it free.
Last man away this period.
Pellerin and Eastwood loose in front. Pronger able to clear. Not out of the zone. Langenbrunner holds in center try. Morrow bid for a second goal. Diving play. Conroy to get out of the zone along with Pellerin. They're trying to get Scott Pellerin a goal. It has been so long since he scored. Up to October, his only tally of the year. Love to get an empty netter here. Maybe we can get him on track. At the point. Zubov sends for Sador. Sent right on. Deflection. Oh, right on net by Morrow, the rookie. Stopped by Turek. Reardon and Morrow exchanged words afterwards.
Yeah, Brendan Morrow got a pretty good shot in afterwards. That was a nice deflection on the shot from Sador. Down low to Morrow. Morrow got a good deflection. Turek tracked it extremely well. And Morrow came in and really aggressively went after trying to loosen that puck up. Morrow will be down on the low part of your screen. That's a terrific redirection. Nice heads-up play by Sador. And you can see that Brendan Morrow didn't let up there. He had a little pop in the side of the head because of it, too. That's not going to back this kid off, though.
Look for great things from the youngster, just 20 years old. Carlisle, Saskatchewan native. He'll take the draw here to the right of Turek against the veteran Pierre Turgeon. 32.1 seconds left, third period. Empty net on the other end. Pronger can't clear. Langenbrunner regains for Morrow. Slides it just wide. Nearly had his second of the night. Zubov holds it in. Steers it well wide. Off the far wall. Marshall lost the handle. Langenbrunner really hustling in the offensive zone. It's broken up by Young, who's got the empty net on the other end. Langenbrunner gets it his way. Sador reverses for Langenbrunner. 5 seconds left. And the Blues will take it.
St. Louis Blues with a terrific game here tonight. They give up the first goal. They were behind the 8 ball. They got their game rolling. They really took it to the Dallas Stars. Full marks for the Blues here tonight.
So, Brian, our final score. St. Louis Blues continue their great home play. 11-4-2 on home ice as they take it 4-2. A rally in the third was the difference. Kings Rangers coming up on ESPN2's National Hockey Night. Wednesday, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. It's next here on ESPN2. Now for the entire ESPN2 crew, my partner Brian Engloff. This is Dave Bryan saying so long from St. Louis. Happy holidays from ESPN2.